Well, good morning and welcome to Business Morning. It's a Thursday trade and we have a lot of ground to cover, from Nigeria's rising millionaires and the business of movie streaming, the latest on the U.S. inflation data, and much more. But first off, let's get into today's matter now. Oil markets, we're seeing a lot of volatility right there. Investors are assessing prospects for a weaker global demand this year as U.S. crude stocks. We've seen that rise there, while prices have found the support from a lack of progress in talks over the Strait of Hormuz there, that blockade right there, and the disruptions to supply. And we see Brent crude there, $88 per barrel. We're definitely looking at maybe above 90 at some point, but it's down 0.62% this morning. WTI crude, 82.74, down 0.64%. But regardless, maybe if there's a bigger shift tomorrow, we might have a weekly loss. But for now, it's still quite positive. Looking at the performance, price performance, that's for this whole trading week. We'll definitely get you the update for that tomorrow. But let's get to the latest now. With data coming from the U.S. and Nigeria's oil production. Joining me for this conversation, we have Mr. Bismarck Rwani. He's a CEO, MD Financial Derivatives Company. Joins me via Zoom. Great to have you in the show, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me this.
Yes, sir. So
morning.
Yeah, fantastic, sir. So definitely we did get the data. Everyone was looking out for U.S. CPI, but it did come as expected. The same numbers as expected there. So with inflation easing to 3.4%, does this strengthen the case for the Fed to hold rates in September? What are you making from this latest data?
More likely to hold rather than increase, and that will come in September. But a couple of things are going to happen. We're going to see GDP numbers that are going to come out. But today we had UK GDP higher than expected to annualize at about 1.1%. That's good news. So if the Bank of England is going to hold rates, the European Central Bank is going to hold rates, and the Federal Reserve is going to hold rates, it means that we'll have a stable external environment. But what's more important to us is that in this period, what we've seen is that our oil production came in at the quarter, OPEC quarter. Our production even fell to about 1.51, but generally speaking, our revenues remain the same. You've seen the price, you just announced it, that the price has come down. And what effect will this have? One is that the Naira remains stable, trading at about, in the parallel market at about 14.30. In the official market, the gap is about almost $60, 60 Naira. But when you now bring it down to what happens to domestic prices and domestic sectors, we are watching 5 products. All other commodities remain flat, but these 5 commodities you have to look at. Gari is down by 5% from 20,000 to 19,000 Naira for a bag, 50 kg bag. But 4 commodities increased. The rice has gone up by 3% from 65 to 67,000 Naira. And pepper is up by 75%. Can you believe it? From 80,000 Naira bag to 140,000 Naira bag. The year high was about 150, so we are back almost to the year high. Onions is up by 15% from 130,000 to 150,000. And tomatoes, believe it or not, tomatoes is up by 20% from 100,000 to 120,000 Naira. So inflation numbers are going to come out on Saturday. We expect the inflation numbers to show a slight decline, but watch out for these 4 commodities that are increasing because of the harvest period and the beginning of the August break. And generally speaking, we expect some slow activity in terms of activity. And you know what has happened in the stock market. There's been a rout, a lot of people selling to get cash for the Dangote refinery IPO, which is coming up. So everybody, that's the only game in town. After SpaceX, it's Dangote, and then those are the key things to watch out for in this next week. So Saturday, you'll get the inflation numbers coming out slightly lower, but month-on-month inflation increasing. You would see those commodities that I mentioned earlier increasing because of the harvest season, right? Even though it's supposed to come down the other way, but we are seeing gari down and tomatoes, onions, and pepper up. Oil price staying flat at about $89-$90 a barrel, and oil production at about 1.51. Right. Naira stable, And so everything else looks okay for now.
All right, for now, definitely. I'm not looking so bad, but still looking at that output, the oil output, falling to 1.5 million barrels per day. I guess not much to worry, when it comes to, government revenue. But what do you think is causing this shortfall?
No, basically, I think, first of all, we are bound by the quota as an OPEC member. Secondly, the production came down. Basically, I think the markets, there's this whole thing about selling some of your crude to the Dangote refinery and local refiners. So there's been a lot of emphasis on encouraging and incentivizing the local refiners by giving them enough crude, right? And this whole idea, the misconception that if you buy crude in Naira, it is cheaper. The price is still the same effective price. The exchange rate is a fair value. So it doesn't matter whether you pay in Naira or pay in dollars. The whole idea is what is the price. So if the global price is at $90 a barrel, that means today we are selling, I think Dangote and MRS and others are selling at 1,200 Naira per liter of PMS. Diesel is at about 1,600 and aviation fuel is at about 1,300 Naira per liter. So basically there's some stability in the refined products market. And that is having an effect on inflation because once transportation cost stays stable, which is what it is now, then we don't have the knock-on effect in prices of goods in the market and also production cost for manufacturers. You said it yesterday. Some manufacturers are taking profits, and investors are taking profits because they are scared that earnings may not be as strong as was originally anticipated. But I think there's too much panic again. We should just wait. This is a stable market. Nigeria is the best performing stock market globally, even after discounting for exchange rate changes and all of that. So there's still some room there, but you have to tread cautiously in this time because when people start rotating their portfolios in favor of the IPO coming in, they will have to sell some stocks. And that sale could actually, some people could lose their shirts if they're not careful.
Right. I guess the right strategy, maybe as a smart investor, maybe hold some, gunpowder on the side. That's talking about cash, so you can buy up
Absolutely.
some of those sales.
Yes, but do not borrow to buy, because if the markets move, then you're going to be lost.
Don't borrow to buy.
Let the trend be your friend. That's what it is.
Yeah. So the loan apps don't go chasing you around if you borrow.
Absolutely. The loan sharks.
The loan sharks.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Rouhani. Always great having your perspective. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we see Nigeria's equities market displayed a notable volatility, during trading yesterday, closing on a downward trajectory. The benchmark all-share index retreated to 243,967 points, down from Tuesday's reading. Overall, equity market capitalization mirrored, this decline. That was 1.12% drop. Yeah. So, technically, we did see Boa Foods that dropped a lot yesterday. Dragging the counter down, and some of the tier 1 banks, most of them were down yesterday. Just First Holdco that stayed unchanged yesterday. So that was a color. Right there. We'll definitely keep tracking to see how the Thursday trade goes, but we see volume value there, 1.46 billion. That was traded, valued at 20.84 billion naira. So investors, what do you do with this one? You did have Mr. Rouhani there saying that don't borrow, to buy the dip if we see some sell-offs, coming. Definitely quite tempting right there. All right, we see the future of Nigeria's financial sector that's increasingly being shaped by technology, innovation, and a new generation of professionals. At the CIBN Generation Next Forum 4.0 in Lagos, industry and government leaders, they challenge young participants to build the skills and mindset needed to remain relevant in a changing economy. Take a listen.
The president and chairman.
What happens when Nigeria's next generation is given a seat at the table where the country's financial future is being shaped? That question takes center stage at the CIBN Generation Next Forum 4.0 in Lagos, as young Nigerians engage leading voices from banking, government, and the financial services industry. Organized by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, the forum brings together young professionals, students, emerging leaders to explore how technology, innovation and inclusion can shape the future of Nigeria's economy.
Franklin Roosevelt said, and I quote, "Although we cannot always prepare the future for our youth, we can always prepare our youth for the future." This is our vision in the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. We believe so much in the power of the youth. We believe so much in what you can deliver. We believe that the youth represents a major driver for the growth of the economy.
Representing the governor of Lagos State, the Commissioner of Finance says government is focusing on creating opportunities for young Nigerians through skills development, technology, funding, and innovation.
To knowledge, to skill, and tools needed to participate in the digital economy. Women, persons with disabilities, young entrepreneurs, and people from less privileged backgrounds must have a place at the table. The table is big enough for all of us. And when we talk about sustainability, we must look beyond the environment. We must build business that can survive, businesses that create decent jobs and continue to serve the communities for years to come. We must invest in people. Responsible businesses and innovation that saves today's problems without creating bigger ones for tomorrow. That's sustainability.
The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Lotus Bank, Dr. Isiaka Ajani Lawal, is asking young professionals to back their potential with discipline, continuous learning, and effective execution.
If you have discipline, you have everything. If you lack discipline, you lack everything. And there is so much packed under discipline. As little as getting to an engagement at the right time. It looks simple, but over time, it will accumulate to make you a reputation that is not desirable. So we need to be disciplined in everything and every area of life.
As finance become more technology-driven, the forum stresses the need for young professionals with innovation, leadership, and problem-solving skills to drive Nigeria's economic growth.
I would say the CBN have introduced new rules around liquidity management, easing some discount window restrictions, restoring tenured repo operations for 4 to 90 days, and broadening access to OMO through banks. So what do these changes mean for bank liquidity, interest rates, and the wider financial market? Joining me for this, we have Mr. Chuka Nwachukwu, Chief Dealer, Group Head, Trading, UBA. Great to have you on the show, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Larry.
Fantastic. Always great to see you. Before we get into the new rules there, we had an NTB auction yesterday. Paint a picture for us. How did it go?
Yeah, it was a heavily oversubscribed auction. We had a total subscription of about 4.4 trillion for an offer of 700 billion. Then CBN sold about 1.4 trillion. So we saw a high movement of for the 1 year. We saw about 24 basis points movement from 17.59 to about from 17.35 to about 17.59. So that obviously shows that the market is highly liquid, and the demand for the paper, which is this T-bills and then the bonds for the Nigerian market, is highly is highly wanted by the investors, or should I say, is highly favored by investors. So that obviously has played into the today's trading. We've seen this due to the huge oversubscription and, of course, the huge deficit. We've seen the unmet demand filtered into the secondary market, and then we've seen this 1 year trading around on 98 to 100 basis points below where it closed at the auction yesterday.
All right, so definitely we did see an under subscription that was for the 182 bill, but the 364 day
Yes.
about 10x. So why was that favored more?
I think that the more, the longer the tenure, the better for investors, and especially for the T-bills. Most investors, if you take the yield to maturity into consideration, that obviously, most investors prefer to do the 1 year. That will give them more room, in terms of investment. And don't forget that most investors want to play on the shorter end of the security, which is the NTB, so that it will help their investment decision. Of course, it also helps to reduce risk. So if you take a wrong decision on the NTB for 1 year, for example, and then it's better than taking the wrong decision for a 3-year bond, for example. So 1 year NTB is highly is highly in investors' demand, and that's why you see that there's always huge subscription on that end, and then less subscription on the shorter end.
All right, let's go on to the new liquidity framework, their rules by the Central Bank of Nigeria. So 4 to 90 days there, we have the tenured repo operations that's been restored. Individuals, corporates, MBFIs, they're eligible for OMO. That's through banks at this point. Looking at the rules, you can put that up for me. We can also see the FX plus government securities discount window. The restrictions have been removed there. And OMO same-day rule. That restriction, that remains at this point. Talk to me, what would you say are the biggest changes here?
I think what the DMO and then CBN, what they are trying to do is to make the markets more favorable for participation. Before now, OMO is highly restricted to foreign investors and then, of course, some corporate. So what has happened now is that OMO is now open for everyone. Be it foreign investors, be it local investors, be it individuals. As long as you have what it takes to to go for these auctions, it will you're eligible to participate. Now, another key thing to also note is that before now, when you go for NTB auction, you cannot settle. You cannot access CBN window on the day of settlement, meaning that if settlement is D+1, which is the next day settlement, no matter the obligation you have, you must not access CBN window. If you do that, and there will be a 5% fine on the total subscription and total bid you went for, and so that has been removed. But it's of course just removed for only NTB. It still applies for OMO. So that is very significant. So what it means is that individual corporates, banks can actually access the CBN window and also help to to settle some of the to settle their bid on the NTB, not on the OMO. And now these changes, what has these changes done for the market is that actually will, of course, improve the market liquidity, bring in more participation. Participants will have free opportunity to get involved in. And then most importantly, we're going to see demand on the OMO side, because if you watch the market, OMO rates are always better than that of NTB. And so most times you see OMO rate trading about 200, 300, 400 basis points above the NTB rate. And so with this new policy, most participants or most demands will shift from the NTB to the OMO side. And then, of course, another advantage is that the OMO, is tax-free. So, of course, the 10% tax on the NTB does not apply on the OMO. So this will obviously, kind of like help the market to grow. It will help participation, and most importantly, it will also help the government, DMO, in terms of trying to raise much needed funds by the government at a very reduced and moderate rate. So, in general, I think that what CBN has done is fantastic, and they've been able to, try to liberalize the Nigerian fixed income market. And again, in terms of the liquidity in the system, we've seen liquidity around 6.5 trillion. That obviously will also help players and give options to market players. Those who were restricted from NTB, we then now have the opportunity to channel some of their demand into OMO bills, and then of course bond bills. So in general, it's a fantastic news, and then a fantastic move by CBN.
All right, we'll definitely keep tracking this one to see how it impacts the markets going forward. Thank you so much, Mr. Chukan Wachuku, Chief Dealer, Group Head Trading, UBA. Thank you for coming to the show, sir.
Thank you, Ladi. Thank you.
All right, I guess I could call this good news now. Nigeria's dollar millionaire population is rising for the first time in 4 years, with 900 new dollar millionaires added in the past year, bridging the total to 8,100. Also at this time, you see the average Nigerian is facing a tough choice with squeezed disposable income. How do you save and invest for the future when some can't even find food to eat today? Joining me to discuss now, we have Jennifer Wirigo, is a founder of FinTribe, and she joins me right here in the studio. It's great to have you. Good morning.
Morning, nice to be back here.
Yes. So we're seeing Nigeria's millionaires. They've risen back to 8,100. That was for June 2026, according to data from New World Wealth. In 1 year, about 900 plus added. Year-on-year rise, that's about 12.5%. I don't know about you, Jennifer. I don't know if I'm one of those millionaires at this point. I'd love to be. What is this telling us?
Like you said, there is good news, right? And to everyone, it's good news, definitely. But then the follow-up to that intro is saying Nigeria battles the toughest times and all. So what I'm thinking, is it that things got better, or is it because of the affairs that have been relatively stable? That kind of also is a positive one for us, right? But then on the other hand, you see that dollar, generally this year with the Iran conflict and all, dollar has sort of been taking a hit a bit. So is it those external factors that is pushing it, or are we really doing better financially?
Because it seems like, we've had a stable currency, for most of, coming from 2025, but it's still weak, at this point, because some of us are still used to levels sub 1,000.
But are we ever getting back to those times again?
Yeah, we've had some forecasts.
Okay.
Hopefully, that would happen. That would be great, because the weakness did make us lose millionaires.
True. But now it's becoming stable, so the numbers is getting better. 8,001. I know that was
about
a time it cost like 10,000. When that metric started, we were way more than 8,000. But then in the last, what did you say? In the last 4 years.
Yes.
So this is like an improvement for us. It's a good one, right? But I'm always thinking of the everyday Nigerian.
Right.
Are they feeling that?
Right.
Do they agree with that metric?
And how many Nigerians we actually have in total? Over 200.
Okay.
Over 200 million.
And now we are looking at 8,000 something. But we celebrate a really little win, really.
It's a win. All right, let's look at how we compare to other African countries. The Africa's dollar millionaire ranking, according to the same data, dollar millionaires, South Africa has 48,200, right there. Okay. Egypt, 15,100. Morocco comes in third there, 8,300. Nigeria, 8,100. Kenya, 6,005. South Africa used to be the most industrialized country. They got overtaken by Morocco. But I guess that's a decent number, 48,200. Definitely your country, where you stay, obviously impacts somewhat the amount of wealth you can make. So I know you advise a lot of people when it comes to savings, investments, and all of that. How do you manage this in a tough economy? How are you able to save? Or do we just forget about saving in a tough economy? Do we forget about investments? Or just focus on the day, eating, consumption?
That's actually a tough conversation to have, because every day Nigerian will tell you that I never see food chop. And you're talking about investing.
Right.
You're talking about savings. But the thing is that sometimes you just have to squeeze it out, right? Like you said, let's maybe paint a typical example. Minimum wage is 70,000, right?
Right.
But
we're asking for 500K.
We moved from 18,000 to 70,000, and then you look at inflation rate, you see that even though this thing has grown, the income has grown, but looking at inflation is deteriorating, right? Because what my 70,000 could have bought me years back, now it won't do the same. And now someone on a minimum wage, we come up to them, we said, oh, we have to save, we have to invest. It's a tough one, right? So sometimes I feel like the priority could be on expanding the income source. How do I grow what I have currently? When we get to that point, of course, we can have the conversation on savings, investing. And I think, okay, I assume that when you say savings is on savings with interest components, right? Which is the everyday investing. So the way I like to look at this, I know that it's not enough for me, but if I tell myself that, okay, if I put this money aside, it's basically going to make me something. So it's not as if the money is idle or what. It's an additional income to what I already have at the moment, right? So that is something that if we look at it that way, the mindset shifts, going from just put away a portion of your income to telling people that this could actually be an additional income source. It helps to move that conversation. But is it tough for the average Nigerian to squeeze out something in this present economy? It is. But thankfully, I think we are getting better. There is this report, I think it was Nairametrics that released it. We are looking at the NGS, it came from NGS. Right. And the retail participation in the NGS is massive. Like for every trade, I think 1 in 4 is from retail investors. It was not like that before. Because Nigerians, they don't even understand what is happening in the capital market. But these days, thank God to technology, the retail, the mobile apps, and more people are moving in that line. So it's not as if things are getting better financially per se, but we see these shifts into the capital market from the retail investors. So yeah, Nigeria economy is still where it is. I'm not the one to tell us what the economy is doing, right? But it's really encouraging seeing that regardless, there's this shift towards the investment space. I love it for us.
Right. And, talking about the stock markets at this point, Mr. Temi Popola did allude that the reason why we're seeing this rise.
Plenty millionaires.
Said because the stock market has delivered, so far, this year, over 50% rise, and is also minting, some of these millionaires. And I'm wondering, the average man on the streets, they're hardly invested, at this point. So it almost seems like investors are smiling, but the average Nigerian isn't smiling that much.
Yeah.
For you, how do you balance this? As someone who is, seeing the stock market doing very well, you're not invested. Do you just rush in and say, you know what? It's minting millionaires. Let me follow the likes of Mr. Femi Otedola and rush into the market. What do you do there?
Yeah, I think he said something about, is it between 500 to 900,000 millionaires from the stock market?
Right.
That's impressive. See what I said earlier, we see a lot more retail investors and all that. But the thing is, and that's why we get it wrong. Do you remember in May, when the market retraced a bit, hey, come to social media, everybody was shouting, my money, I put 100,000, now I'm seeing 90,000, now I'm seeing 70,000. Because we rushed in. Earlier this year, like you said, I think it's currently at 58% returns, the Nigerian market. First step is usually the education part. That's the first step. Let people understand. Yes, we hear about the good news. We hear about people making money. But do we really understand what this market is doing? But thankfully, that's why we come on social media now. We have a lot more people educating people on these things. And I see NGS, I see SEC doing a lot to educate people, because that is step one, the financial literacy part of it, before people even dive in. So that's one thing I encourage. Learn to understand how these things work, first of all. And thankfully, many houses these days, they have stock recommendations and with backings, ample backings on what is driving this. So I tell people, start with those. Look at what are the experts saying. Do you even understand what I say? Somebody tells you, oh, MTN, the revenue is like this, it's like that. Retail investors, they don't really understand that. But ask yourself, oh, I use MTN. Can I do without it? So with millions of other Nigerian investors, right? Oh, people are talking about, let's say, cement. Construction is big in Nigeria, in the capital, not capital market. Construction is big in the economy, right? And for that to happen, you're looking at that in those industrial sector, the construction part. So if somebody is telling you, oh, maybe Dangote Cement, Boa Cement, that is a way for somebody that is not an expert to really look at things. Okay, this is making sense. I need this to make this happen. So for me, when I'm talking to people, these are the ways I let them to see your everyday life can be an opportunity for you to even understand what is happening in the market. Do I agree that the stock market has been helpful or has a role to play? I think I do. Like our NJ CEO said, I think to an extent it helps, because when we say, oh, the market has done 58%, then we are how many points now? That means if we're 100,000 in this market, as all of this is happening, in my way, my small 100,000 is also experiencing, like, it's also enjoying from that growth, right? But then I love the angle you're looking at it. Do we even know what we are getting into? Or just because we heard that, oh, the market is doing well and we rushed in. So I would always push financial literacy first. Let's understand what we are doing. And I will appeal, to our investment houses. The big money comes from the big guys, the institutional investors, but a lot of retail investors are also interested. When we are messaging, can we bring it down a bit, or can we have something addressing the retail man beyond just, oh, bring your money, open an account? Can we, I see some hosting webinars, talking to people on this. That's encouraging, but I would really love to see more of it in the market. More houses having webinars, talking to the everyday man, not just institutional investors.
Right, because there are quite a lot that's talking about retail, and if we can get them into the market, that will definitely help, the market grow. All right, I guess that's a good place to anchor it. At this point, we have more millionaires. If you want to be a millionaire, get the education first before you jump into any market or any asset class. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I really great. She's the founder, FinTribe. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always a delight to be here.
Fantastic. All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll look at Nigeria's movie industry. Where are the investment opportunities there? That's next. Just stay with us. All right, so our next conversation now, there's a clear shift happening in Nigeria's movie industry and the way Nigerians consume films. That's been changing. We've moved from, cassette tapes and CDs to the rise of, cinemas and then to streaming platforms. Now, more producers are taking their movies directly to YouTube, where they can reach millions of viewers without the traditional distribution gatekeeper. So is YouTube becoming the next major distribution channel for Nollywood? And what does this shift mean for business, making the business of making and monetizing, Nigerian films? We see latest data shows that Nigeria's digital audience, that's growing. April 2025, that was about 1.04 million terabytes. April 2026, 1.41 million terabytes. That's about a 35.5% rise there, according to the data. Quite interesting from the NCC. All right, that they have it. So joining me now to unpack this, we have Mr. Nosa Rex, who's a film producer, an actor, joins me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, first off, I'm a great fan of your movies. They make me laugh a lot. I did watch one actually last night, and it was very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, so why are more Nollywood producers choosing YouTube as a distribution platform instead of relying solely on cinemas and streaming? And I'm also wondering, is it that these movies are made specifically for YouTube and not other platforms?
Well, thank you. The truth of the matter is, at this point, 2026, our only hope is YouTube. Quote me anywhere, all right? And the reason why this shift is happening is because YouTube is the only place that you can wake up and, decide on how you want to sell your movie or how you want to do or what you want to do with your movie. So there are not so many restrictions, and it will accept any kind of budget that you have. So even if you have a low budget, even if you have high budget, so YouTube does not discriminate. YouTube takes everything and anything. Do you understand? So that's why everybody's running to YouTube.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. But, looking at the whole production process now, what is the cost of production right now? Would you say the trend has been steadily increasing? And when you tell me about the production cost, what is the profitability like, streaming on YouTube?
Okay, so the production cost actually it differs, all right, depending on what you want to shoot. It's depending on the script, depending on the actors that you want to use. Right now, everything has gone up. So the movie you produce with, let's say, for example, you produce a movie with 6-7 million naira for YouTube before, you can't even try it right now. Because except how many actors do you want to use in the movie? What do you want to do with the costume? Everybody has doubled their prices. So for a standard movie right now, which I would consider like a low budget kind of movie on YouTube right now, you must be ready to spend around 9 to 10 million naira if you want to even manage. So for you to get that money back plus your profit, you need over how many views? And those views, you need to get them within 3, 4, 5 days before the RPM goes down. So it's a very, very risky business. People don't even know the stress on YouTube. So if you shoot, but you can also shoot lower than that. So it doesn't matter. There's no fixed capital as to say this is the budget for the movie. It depending on the story, depending on the actors you want to use. So YouTube will give you that leverage, that chance to do whatever you want. If you have 5 million, there's a movie for 5 million. If you want to have 10 million, there's a movie for 10 million. Even if you have 20 million, YouTube will take your 20 million. But the most important thing is, how do you generate the money back? How do you get it? You can't get that money back unless you get some amount of views. And you need everybody to watch that film. You need people to watch that film within a specific period of time for you to generate that funds back.
Yeah, I can imagine the strain of trying to market that movie, after you've put it there, because you're trying to beat time. 5 days, you say. All right.
Yeah.
There's also this trend of AI, actors, AI movies, at this point. Is that competition, for you?
Well, I don't really see it as competition. Rather, so people like us, we're using it to promote our movies. We can't change what's happening. The world is evolving. This is AI time. So instead of you to start thinking that AI is like start seeing AI like a competition, it's better for you to now think of how you want to use AI to, promote what you're doing. So for me, I use this AI to promote my movies. So I can do adverts in AI. So if you love to watch AI, you like how AI is being displayed on the internet, I would rather use the AI to pass a message to tell you to go and see my movies. Because there is no way you will watch AI and see the real me, even if you want to be like me. But there's a difference. AI will not completely get the reactions, will not completely get the deliveries, just as a real human being will get. So, yes, AI is here to stay, but we're now channeling AI as a form of promotion for our movies. So I don't see it as a competition.
Right, and when it comes to funding, for your movies, are you able to get funding easily, or do you need to get investors? And if you get investors, what's their ROI like, return on investment? Is it good?
Bro, getting an investor is a problem. As a matter of fact, that's the only way this industry can survive. I wish we had more investors, And I feel like the only way to survive, the only way to get, your return of investment right now is if they channel their energy on collaborations. Because this idea of everybody wants to do it on their own, everybody wants to do their own, that's where we have the problem. When you put so much money, there is no way, it's hard to get it. And where do you want to even get this capital from? Who wants to invest in this business? Do you understand? Because getting the money back is the problem. So, but if you do collaboration, it will help because the risk will be reduced and everybody will put in their energy and I'm sure they will get a better result. So getting an investor in this business right now is a major, major problem. Major.
All right. So what's your advice, for an investor, looking at this, industry and say, what, I want to try and get in there, I want to try and make some money in there. What's your advice for them?
The first thing an investor should do is do not just come in as an investor. Don't come and act like you want to know everything or you want to do everything all by yourself. Like I said, you need the power of collaboration. An investor, when you come in as an investor, come and learn. Don't come and decide. Bring people that know how to do this thing. Bring your knowledge. You bring your knowledge. Let's collaborate and do this. And together, you guys will win. But if you come in as an investor and just bring money, jump into the business that you know nothing about, you will jump in and jump out. So you having money doesn't mean that you are going to do well in this business. No. You need people with experience. So where you are supposed to spend 2,000 naira, that person will help you spend 1,500 naira and you save cost. You understand? So that's my advice to every investor. If you're coming, link up with the people that know how to do this thing, people that have been doing this business for a while, and stay as an investor. Don't try to be smart so that everybody can open up. Then collaborate with people that know how to do this. I'm sure you're going to make your money and make good profit.
Right. And for the actors now, we have a couple of budding actors there looking to get in there, but I hear most of them are not paid well, when it comes to payment for roles and all of that. And sometimes the producer has the budget to pay them well, but they'll cut it, pay them peanuts, get the movie, make all the profit. How are you seeing that?
Well, I don't know if it happens in every industry, but these things happens. These producers, they always go for value. Do you understand? A producer will see you and understand that, oh, you're a good actor, but you might not add value to what I'm doing. He might not want to pay you. And you know that sometimes these actors are desperate. When you see actors coming to you and say, I want to act, you don't, out of that desperation, they will just say, money's not the problem. I don't even really need money. Just give me the role. Just give me. That's where they always shoot themselves in the leg. That's how all these things started. Do you understand? So, and the producer, as a very, money-conscious person, he'll be looking like, okay, let me get this person for peanut. But it happens. I mean, is it wrong? Yes. It's not the right thing to do, right? But people do it. But I believe it's just for a while, because immediately that actor or actress gets their feet, that thing will not happen again.
All right. But before I let you go, I want you to do your signature move. Yeah. Just give us one.
Okay, so that's when you see something shocking.
Exactly.
So you move your body like this, you look at the thing and you shout.
All right, thank you so much, Dosar Rex. Great having you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
All right, now we'll take a moment. Let's see what's happening in the global economy.
That was Ladi attempting to turn our business studio to Nollywood studio, but we will not take it. Ladi, we will come for you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Global News segment of Business Morning. I'm Ini John McCoy, and we start off from, a lot of people will call it an exciting news that happened in the UK yesterday. We heard there was an eclipse, a once-in-a-generation solar eclipse. And thank God we do have our London Bureau Chief, Juliana Olainka, to tell us how it was being right there. I think we're expecting in Nigeria later on this month, but at least Juliana has had it first time. Juliana, good morning. I wonder how it was for you. Did you see it? How was the excitement around UK?
Good morning, Inni. Yes, I did see it. I was in the garden with my daughters yesterday looking at the, I must say, partial eclipse. And it's very important to point that out. So in the UK, we didn't actually have the full total eclipse, which you are showing viewers now. That full total eclipse was best seen in Iceland, in Spain, in Greenland, and in the Arctic Circle. But yes, we were pretty fortunate in some parts of the UK to see up to 96%. So if you were in places like Cornwall and Devon, you would have seen so much more. But certainly from where I was in London, it was absolutely phenomenal. I think lots of us have woken up with a little bit of dust in our eyes because, of course, very importantly, we were told not to look at the sun, which was really difficult considering there was this once-in-a-generation astronomical phenomena going on. But it was really amazing. And considering there is so much terrible, disastrous geopolitical news, it's very nice to sort of come together all in one.
I know, right?
God's glory. It was great.
Yeah, and we're told it's once in a generation. So who knows when next? But did you hear people, there was the advice, as you said, don't look at it directly. You need some things to look at it. Was that was that widely spread, that information?
No, I'm telling you, honestly, Inni, it was really very dangerous. It was, it's something where I say you had to have witnessed it in person to be able to describe it. But no, it was blinding.
Wow.
I was actually on my way home. I was driving home just at the start of the phenomena, which began in the UK, I'll say about 6 p.m. in the evening local time. And I had a look up at the sun, and it was something that you had to very quickly look away. I think those of us who didn't get those special 3D glasses that were able to still capture it, were able to do that because we know that iPhones and Samsungs and Nokias are associated with the lens. But yes, definitely blinding. So I do believe there are probably some people with very sore eyes today.
Yeah, that's be unfortunate. And we do need this information because I think reports suggest that later on this year, Nigeria, or next year, I beg your pardon, Nigeria would also have its own share. So we need to have that information. But also, we did see that the UK economy expanded, but analysts are saying the growth is likely to fade. How strong is this concern?
Yeah, right. So we're talking about UK GDP figures for Q2, which were released this morning. According to the Office for National Statistics, the UK economy grew 0.4% in Q2, which is down from 0.6% at the start of the year. We've had some reaction from the new Chancellor, John Healey, who basically says that this is good news. Of course, it's not as strong as Andy Burnham and his new administration would have liked, but Healey pointed out that 0.4% is still the strongest growth amongst the G7 this year, which I think is a really important factor for Andy Burnham, who, as we know, over the past couple of weeks has been doing his best to reassure sort of beleaguered, Brits that the cost of living crisis is going to come down. At least that's what he hopes. He's tried to put in some domestic policies, including removing VAT off electricity bills. He's also made riding public transport, particularly buses, much cheaper. I think single bus fare expenses have gone down. He's also trying his best to assure the hospitality sector by cutting some of the bills on pubs, bars and clubs to try and get more people in there. But it's still quite tough. And of course, there is a backdrop that has nothing to do with Britain, and that is the war in Iran and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which of course is pushing up energy prices and making life just that little tougher for everybody around the world. So I think, that's really what's been shown up in these GDP figures today.
Yeah, around the world, everybody's feeling that. But another thing that seems to be of great concern, especially in that part of the world, is the extreme weather. We're still hearing of wildfires, and now there's the reports that temperatures could hit 38 centigrade in England.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Britain is going through its fifth heat wave of the summer, which is, shocking to say the least. It's very, very hot. And because of that fifth heat wave, the Met Office have once again issued a very rare amber weather alert this morning, basically saying there is a danger to life. We know that there have been an increase in the number of deaths because of this extreme temperature. Temperatures are expected to reach anywhere between 36 and 38 degrees in London, in the southeast, in parts of the Midlands. It is just very hot. It's hot right now. I'm quite sweaty, and it's just 10:51 in the morning. I know yesterday the Prime Minister chaired a COBRA meeting with the rest of his cabinet, looking at ways to sort of alleviate some of the extremities that come with this hot weather, including wildfires, which you just mentioned. There have been over 1,000 wildfires this summer in the UK, not because of lightning, which is what I think some people would presume it is, but it's negligent behaviour. So there are suggestions that perhaps Andy Burnham is going to put a ban on disposable barbecues. A lot of people as well that are lighting cigarettes are, throwing them anywhere, and then lighting up these green spaces. Well, I would call them green, but a lot of the green spaces in the UK are now burnt. They're all very brown and very yellow. We are going through significant drought. I have a reservoir just near me, and it's almost empty. So there has also been a ban on hose pipes, so nobody is allowed to water their garden. Quite frightening, quite scary, and clearly becoming the new normal in this country.
Well, sounds scary there. I mean, people are not allowed to water their gardens and barbecues and all that. But Juliana, thank you, and do stay hydrated. All right, now let's move from there to Europe, where when it comes to cleaner jet fuel, the stick seems to be proving mightier than the carrot. European airlines surge ahead in the use of sustainable aviation fuel just last year, while carriers in the US and Asia that fell further behind. This is according to analysis of dozens of airline environmental filings. And the US has been focusing on recommendation from the UN Aviation Agency Council, which Washington says is unfairly favoring Brazil corn farmers at the expense of US producers in development of green jet fuel. And SpaceX, well, we thought they were going down. No, well, the shares surged 11% following a major Wall Street endorsement of its artificial intelligence capabilities and renewed investor enthusiasm over its expanding suite of enterprise software products. The rally was sparked by research notes from Morgan Stanley arguing that public markets are severely underestimating SpaceX's AI enterprise platform, alongside comments from the Chief Executive Officer, Elon Musk, teasing the launch of the company's flagship model, Grok 4.7. And Google has unveiled its Pixel 11 smartphone lineup, raising starting prices by $100 as surging memory costs add pressure to device makers while introducing upgraded cameras, faster chip, and new artificial intelligence features. And then away from all of the techs now, Iran seems to be getting ready to join the new development bank, BRICS, the development lender established by BRICS group of nations. Central bank governor there, in a press statement, said that ahead of BRICS finance meeting, Iran remains under sweeping US and international sanctions and is yet to reach a peace deal. And those are your global stories for this time. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Back to Ladi.
All right, thank you so much, Ini. We see the markets are buzzing. We see the NGX there down about 4 basis points this morning. Might be tending towards red at this point. Gold down 0.66% after we got that tame inflation data from the US, and Bitcoin trying to get back to 65K, 0.56% lower. Ini John McCraw will be back with more details on Business Incorporated. That's at 1:30. Thanks for watching Business Morning. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.